Hello and welcome to the Musicology tutorials. This one's for Deep House. And we're going to start with the drums and percussion. So check the More tab here and check it's empty. Then prompt here. That brings you up to this screen. And we've already installed this on the desktop previously. Musicology Deep House. And we're going to go to My Project and save everything within My Project. So first up, I'm going to add a VST, and the VST we're going to add is going to be the groove agent. And we're going to install all the drums onto this. This is just like a drum machine kind of thing. These are kind of pads. I'm just going to install each sound onto each one. So we press F5, and that will bring up the media bay. The media bay will start like this. Then we're going to go to desktop because we've installed all the sounds on the desktop. Just make this a little bit bigger. Okay, make sure this is ticked here, and they'll make sure that you can hear the samples, otherwise they won't play the samples. So we're going to go to Musicology, and just make it a little bit bigger again. Just drag it out here. And we're going to go to Loops and Samples. Now, if we go to the shots, they're the individual sounds of each drum. So we're just going to go into here. You can hear them on here. And just drag them over. So the first one being the kick. And the clap. I'm just going to drop each sound onto each pad. And you can see on the pad where that note is. So I've got C1, C sharp 1, D1. So just fill it up here with all these percussion and drum sounds. There's one left there, we're going to use that later. So we press F5 again, that get rid of the media bay. Okay, what we want to do now is we want to save these as a preset so you can find them very easily. You don't have to repeat that process again. So we'll call it Musicology Deep House Drums. Okay, we're going to save that. And you can hear the drums that we've installed here. Now what we're going to do the same groove agents, but we're going to open a few, so we increase this count to 8 and then open the drum agent, and that'll open 8 VSTs all the same. Okay, now we're going to install the Musicology Deep House drums on each of those. So we just go to load the preset, click on the preset we've already saved, the Musicology one, and load it into all of these groove agent drum players. So we're just going to do this for everyone. I do it this way. You could use the drums off just one drum player, but I find it gives you a bit more flexibility. You can put different effects on each drum, whether it be the kick or the clap or the hi-hat. If we do it this way, it's far easier in the long run. Okay, now we want to rename all these parts. The first one's going to be kick, followed by clap, followed by snare 1, and then snare 2, open hat, shaker, ride, perk, short for percussion, and crash. Now these are all the elements of the drums we're going to use for this track. So I'll show you how to make a part. So we put the locators between 1 and 3, so 2-bar loop. We double click on this area, the area that's highlighted, and that will create a part, this one being the kick part. So I click on it twice, that gives us access to the editing area, and that's the note we're looking for. It's on C1, that's the kick. Now we want to make sure that it's on 16, that's the standard size for drums. So go it again. And we're going to insert using the pen tool or the draw tool. The kick's on here. Now I just like to turn the velocity up, so make sure the velocity is tagged here, and we'll just hover over here, and it gives full velocity, which makes it as loud as possible. Especially when it's the kick, you really want the kick to be the loudest part. Okay, we're going to close that and go for a clap. Now again, double left click and then click again, and it'll first create a part, then give you access to it. So then the notes we're looking for is C sharp one, that's a clap. So we're going to put the claps on these notes. Here, that's your standard clap or snare position for house music. We listen, it's on the second kick. Okay, we're just going to extend these parts now, so we'll highlight them and then press Ctrl and D, and that will copy them and simply glue them together. Now we set the locators here 1 to 5, which will give us a 4-bar loop to work with. So we'll just create a part here by double clicking and then click again to give the entrance to the part. Now the snare we're going to work on this time is here, the D, and we're just going to put the parts on these notes, making sure the quantized time is set to 16 triplet, and that gives it that sort of house, deep house groove, that swing, which is apparent in most house tracks now. Gives it a real good groove. Now you want to put the notes on these notes here. Now we've included some screenshots which make it a lot easier. You can just look at the screenshots of this part and you know where to put them. Now this is going to be the hardest part of programming drums you'll probably ever do. This is really sort of technical side, so you're right in the deep end with this. So if you manage to do this, then you've really accomplished something. Took me a long time to figure this out, so okay, so listen, there's real groove there, real swing to it. Actually there's one wrong note there, it's that note there, I'll just move it, that should be fine. Just have another listen. Right, that's cool. Just add one more in the end. Okay, so close that. So we're going to create another part here. I set the locators between 1 and 3, giving us 2 bars, created a part by double clicking it. And we're going to work on this snare. Okay. Again, we've added screenshots of this screen so you can study it and find it easier to put the snares in the right positions. Again, this is set to 16T, 16 triplet. Okay, so we're going to give it a play, and that all seems fine. Again, this is set on cycle, this blue toggle here, and that will mean it will loop between the two parts from here. So I'm going to there. Okay, create a part again by double clicking it, and it create a part with the locator set between 1 and 3. Okay, we're going to make the grid a little bit bigger again by just sliding this toggle to the right. Just gives you a bigger area to work with. Okay, these are the positions for the open hat. Now these are pretty standard positions for hi-hats, open hi-hats in house music. If you just listen to it, it gives you a constant hat all the way through. That's working quite nicely. Okay, next we're going to do the shaker. So create a part by clicking, left clicking the area highlighted, and then clicking again, and it gives you access to the part. And we're going to use this note, F1, which is the shaker. Again, we've included the screenshots, which make life a little bit easier because you can just refer to them. Okay, making sure the triplet, 16T triplet, is selected. Now we're just going to make this a little bit funky by lowering the volumes on some of the notes, give you even more of a swing. Okay, just rise the volume up a little bit using the velocity. And up a little bit more. You just hear that in the background, the shaker. Just highlight it if we take the open hat on. You can hear it quite clearly. If I take some more elements out, you can hear it even more. So that's quite a full drum pattern evolving. Next we're going to do a ride. Okay, here's a ride. This is pretty straightforward. We just want a constant ride all the way through. Now here we're just putting the notes in via MIDI. Included with the pack are the audio parts. So we're going to be looking at putting the audio parts in a minute. And the level's a bit all over the place, it's a bit loud, but we'll be going into mixing later on in tutorials. Okay, let's create a part to the perk. Obviously short for percussion. Okay, if we find the sound, that's the one. So we're just going to insert it, these positions. Again, we're going to include the screenshots, so you can just check that out more closely. Okay, the loop is only 1 bar loop, so I'm going to reduce the size of it just by left clicking it and dragging the box in. And I'm going to copy it So that's going to be Control and D or Command and D on a Mac. So now it's a 2-bar loop. Now you can just hear that. So you can hear it if I just solo a few things. Okay, I'm just going to add a crash, which is here, this note. So just draw it in here. Okay, now that sounds like the drums are pretty much complete. So I'm just going to make them into full-size loops. Now, generally 8-bar loops. So we're just going to copy this. If you highlight them, then Control and D or Command and D on a Mac, it'll copy it. And the same for these. Then just highlight them all and glue them all together using the tool. Just click on it once. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to increase the tempo. I think it's a little bit slow. So I'm just going to go to here, click on Fixed and change the tempo. Now the beauty of what we've done so far is we've used MIDI and individual sounds. So when you increase or decrease the tempo, you can do it really easily. It obviously can do it with loops, but you tend to lose a bit of the quality if you time stretching or changing the tempo of the whole track in one go. It sort of degrades the sound a little bit. Okay, 124 sounds about right for this this track. So since it's a teaching tutorial, we're going to look at different ways of achieving the same goal. Now I've already programmed the shaker in using individual sounds via MIDI, but this time I'm going to look at importing a loop of the same pattern. F5 gives you access to the media bay. Now while we're in here, we need to find the Musicology Deep House tutorial we put on the desktop. Okay, so we want to find the Deep House loops that are on the desktop. So we just follow the tree down here and it will highlight them all here. We just click on them, it'll give you the different ones. And here's the shake which we want to insert in the project. Now make sure these toggles are clicked and make sure the loop is in time. And here's the volume of it, so about here, and it's going to insert it in the project at that volume. Double click on it and it'll bring this box up. You'll make sure that's ticked, the copy file to directory. And that will insert it into the project, so we have it here now as an audio part. Now we're not going to use this shaker now because it's basically the same thing, so we can get rid of it. So we'll just go to project and just remove the selected track. So we have the shaker as an audio part as opposed to a MIDI part. So just do a bit of housekeeping and tidy it up. Now all remains to do is save it. So save here. Here in my project where we set the project at the beginning of this tutorial. So we'll just call it Deep House Drums and Perk. So we'll just save that and that's the first part done.